They say they rewrote the script here in Hamilton. After a tense and closely fought campaign, Scottish Labour secured a by-election win that few saw coming.
Only Scottish Labour can beat the SNP. Only Scottish Labour can deliver a new direction for Scotland, and only Scottish Labour can ultimately deliver the change this country needs.
Scottish Labour Party, 8,000.
A year out from the next Scottish Parliament election, this result's a much-needed boost for Labour. But Reform has loomed over this by-election, coming from nowhere to claim third place. Labour's vote share dropped. So they've taken some of your voters. They're a threat to you in the Holyrood elections, aren't they?
No, all they are is a potential gift to the SNP. There'll be ideological people that have moved en masse from the Conservatives to Reform. Secondly, there will be people that use the opportunity of a by-election to use it as a protest vote to say, send a message to two governments. But third, some of them will have fallen for a frankly shameful campaign from John Swinney.
This was the SNP's key message.
Vote SNP to stop Farage and for a better future for our country. Thank you very much.
John Swinney claimed it was a two-horse race for the win between his party and Reform. But it turned out to be a two-horse race for second place. The SNP had a clear majority here in 2021. Labour has managed to overturn that, despite losing a chunk of its voters to Reform.
We called it the way that we saw it. The Labour vote was collapsing in Hamilton. It's down 20% on where they were last summer, and the Reform vote was surging. And we had to position ourselves to stop Farage. And I don't want Farage's poisonous politics in Scotland.
Just look how tight it was between the top three parties here. Reform nipping at the SNP's heels, the Scottish Conservatives down in fourth, and lucky not to lose their deposit. Who should worry the most about this result?
Both Labour and the SNP have left with plenty to think about. Labour's performance in this by-election is not enough to suggest that Anas Sarwar is on course to claim the keys to Bute House in the way he seemed to be 12 months ago. But equally, the fact that the SNP did a wee bit less well in the polls suggests that the prospect that might open up to them next May is, yes, they might still well be the largest party, they may still win the majority of constituencies in Scotland, but that actually there won't be a pro-independence majority at Holyrood, and indeed the SNP could end up being quite a deeply minority government.
Come for a pint, come for a pint.
Yeah, well, if I get a chance, I will.
Nigel Farage, who briefly visited this constituency on Monday, managed to achieve a higher share for Reform here than what's been recorded in recent national polls.
Maybe Reform might just be able to claim second place in the next Holyrood chamber. That ambition certainly doesn't seem to be necessarily to be beyond them.
Disenchantment with establishment parties propels Reform in England and, it seems, in small-town Scotland now too.
Reform UK is tapping into a vote of people who are angry and fed up and frustrated. And I think that what we need to do over the next year or so now is to put some meat on the bones as to what it is we want to offer people, because a lot of people put trust in this guy yesterday, and it's about trying to make sure that they have a bit of, meat on the bones as to what it is we want to do.
This afternoon, news of today's Labour win was still coming as a surprise to some.
Wait, what happened?
Labour won.
Oh, Labour won. Labour get in. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. I don't want the SNP on.
Who were you hoping would win?
I was hoping the Scottish Nationalists.
Oh, okay, so you're disappointed?
There's not much in it anyway when you think it,
So you're surprised then that Reform did so well?
Not really, because it's a novelty of the now, I think, because they'll soon find out their policies are weak, very weak.
I voted for Reform. As far as I'm concerned, no other party seems capable of controlling the illegal immigrants that are flooding into this country.
I just think that Labour's making such a mess of everything. It's not really, they really are.
But we're in a really sad state, to be honest.
For Labour, the narrative has shifted because of this surprise success. But the celebrations could be short-lived if Keir Starmer is unable to deliver the economic change communities like this one were promised last summer.
Catherine Sampson reporting there. Well, Reform might be pleased with their showing in Hamilton, but yet again, the party is grappling with major internal problems after their chairman, Zia Youssef's sudden resignation. Our senior political correspondent, Paul McNamara, will explain everything. Paul?
Yeah, it's been a topsy-turvy 24 hours for Reform. So look, they're getting away from it. That was a heck of a result for them in Scotland. The shine was taken off it a little bit by Zia Youssef's resignation. Now, it has to be said that the list of colleagues that Nigel Farage has fallen out with over multiple decades and multiple parties...
Getting longer and longer.
It is a long list. It is not a short list.
Oh.
But look, talking to people inside Reform, they say, look, this one's slightly different. OK, so 2 days ago, the newest MP, Sarah Pochin, she spoke for the first time at Prime Minister's Questions, and she used its call for a ban on the burqa. Zia Youssef said that this was, quote, dumb. I understand he's got a heck of a lot of abuse online over the past 2 days, and this got to the point of like not happy and decided he's out. That is not to say that all was a bed of roses inside Reform HQ. Talking to insiders, they say, look, he was a former Goldman Sachs banker. He still acted like he was still a Goldman Sachs banker.
Not a compliment.
They did not mean it in a complimentary way. You know, they say there wasn't a great culture there. It was a one strike and you're out. He'd sacked quite a few people. In fact, there was a joke that outgoing people were saying they'd been Goldman sacked. So there were one or two people having a celebratory drink last night. But the person happiest about this is a Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch. She was giving a speech today, and ultimately what this has given her is the opportunity to not talk about how badly the Conservatives did last night. She was giving this speech about how the Tories were launching a policy review on how they might be able to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR. I asked her, well, you're still having policy reviews about what you might do. Reform are just announcing what they're going to do. Is there a risk, essentially, that you're still strapping your boots on while Reform are out the door with a lot of your voters? Look how quickly the answers turn around to Zia Youssef.
There is a lot that needs doing, but I am of very, very strong confidence that the public will see that the party has changed and that we are the only credible alternative to Labour. You talk about Reform. Reform's chairman, who spent the last year putting all of his effort, all of his time, all of his money, has said trying to get Reform elected is a waste of time. He knows something that the rest of us do not. I think we should be paying attention to that rather than talking up a party that's losing as many people that are coming in, losing as many people as quickly as they are coming in. We need to start getting serious and stop treating politics like show business.
Is she right?
No. Look, polling aside, and the polling numbers are terrible for the Conservatives, Nigel Farage has been saying ad nauseum for the last year, Reform of the official opposition, we're the ones Labour are worried about. The people I now hear that from is the Labour Party, senior people in the Labour Party. It will take an awful lot more than the resignation of Zia Youssef, a man who, with all the best will in the world, the vast majority of the British public have never heard of, to change that.